How about that? My name is Tom Caswell. I'm the project manager for the OpenCourseWare Consortium for EduCommons. And this is Brent Lambert. He is one of the core developers on EduCommons and has been for a long time. And he's also the co-owner of In Praxis, a company that does a lot of OpenCourseWare consulting, among other things. So is that a reasonable introduction? All right, well, we're going to jump right in because there's a lot of things that we want to share with you about EduCommons. So first of all, the URL, probably the most important thing, is educommons.com. That's the portal that we are using for gathering community and displaying the work, and also just in general, it's a clearinghouse for all things EduCommons. So we're also going to talk a little bit about sustainability, hence the title of the session, Sustainability Happens. We're going to do a little bit of both, so we'll talk quickly. Before we get into it, though, I just had to put up this is kind of the big picture I want to start with. This is a screenshot from my email. Okay, I got an email from our Blackboard administrator, and well, you can read it. Once again, we'll be changing the access faculty have to semesters that are over a year old. Translation: everything that's older than a year old is going away. Your courses are going away, they're dying. That's why we have OpenCourseWare. That's why this matters. We need a way for the content to persist. So this is only a couple weeks ago, and I thought this has to go in. So we're going to talk a little bit about the community that we have been working on expanding for EduCommons. Now, there's already a pretty good adoption rate through the years of EduCommons software. And how many people aren't familiar with what EduCommons is? Just so I know who I'm talking to. Let me back up just a little bit and just say EduCommons is open source software that is on the back end of a large number of OpenCourseWare sites throughout the world. It was modeled after the MIT OpenCourseWare project, and so there's things like workflow that go into the process. It's kind of a unified solution for OpenCourseWare, where you can create the content, clear the copyright, and push the content out and actually serve the content on a website all in one package. And it's built on open source frameworks, Zope and Plone, and so it leverages a lot of great open source technology, and essentially EduCommons is the layer on top that makes it so that it does all of the metadata and all of the fancy things as simply as possible, so that we can have good OpenCourseWares. So a couple of examples. Yeah. Oh yeah. Let's just be interactive. Yes. Question.
Can you give a sentence on how it's different from Moodle?
Okay. Well, yes. The question is, can you give a sentence on how it's different from Moodle? Moodle is an LMS, and you've got student rosters, and you've got grade books and things like that. EduCommons is designed specifically to be focused on OpenCourseWare, so you don't have the students, you don't have the grade books. All of that's not being done for you. It's strictly a content management system versus rather than a learning management system. You're welcome. It's a long sentence, but a run-on sentence. Ooh, we did a study. Do you want to answer that one? I'll just say quickly. We did a survey of about a dozen learning management systems a couple of years ago, and I don't think Alfresco was part of that. But what we realized was that there's just a huge amount of LMSs out there that, and what we try and do is do a really good job of serving the OpenCourseWare niche, and so I'd like to take a look at that though, because every time I hear of a new one, it's interesting to me.
So basically, Alfresco also is a content management system too, but what we've done is we've taken the content management system one step further and customized it specifically for OpenCourseWare needs. So things like being able to license with a Creative Commons license, things like being able to have full accessibility throughout the site, being able to have metadata that's published in a number of different ways. We take all the complexity out of that for somebody doing OpenCourseWare, so that if they enter in metadata, then it will automatically be hooked up to like an RSS feed and into the Consortium's standards. It also does things like a lot of the other academic standards with the metadata and stuff like that. So it's really a turnkey solution for doing OpenCourseWare. So, you know, to get back to your main question, Alfresco is more a kind of general content management system. This is really just specifically designed for OER and OpenCourseWare purposes.
All right, now I'm going to just kind of race through this so that we have some time for questions as they come. But feel free to interject, and we'll try and tailor this to your needs as much as possible. So briefly, just to give you an idea of the community around around EduCommons, we 2 weeks ago we put out a call through our various channels. We have a Facebook group for EduCommons development. We have a couple of mailing lists, a couple of Yahoo groups, and so I just blasted out a quick message that just said, "Hey, we're ready now. We need help with localization." Well, so a week into it, it was kind of quiet, and then all of a sudden, translations just started popping up. People started sending back translations, and here's what we have in 2 weeks' time. We have both simplified and traditional Chinese, Spanish, Japanese, Turkish, Hindi, Italian, and Russian. And that's just to give you kind of a sense of the community that exists there. And it really surprised me, because I wasn't, I was trying to leverage all the people I knew to, would you please, and all of that. And because it takes about 5 hours to do a translation of EduCommons. So, but that's the kind of community that just pulls together when there's a need like that. Just also to list out, here are the translations that are currently in progress that didn't make it onto the disk, but we'll have a language pack update in about a month, I would say. And so we've just got, you know, support from all over the place, and it's just fantastic. It's great to see the project have this kind of community support, because the whole idea of this release was, it was the final Hewlett-funded release, and so the focus was a lot on getting the community going and making sure that this was sustainable. So that's so to run through it. So we've got Catalan coming, as well as French, Nepali, Korean, Afrikaans, Vietnamese, and a couple of others that didn't make it onto the slide. So those will be ready in a few weeks. But in all, we should have about 15 languages, all just by asking on Facebook, essentially. So it's a neat community to be part of. We're going to race through a quick feature summary. This is like the top 10 list of what's new in EduCommons 3.2.1. Okay, and we're going to do this really quickly, just to respect the time. I mean, this is a dual presentation, so we need to make sure to leave time for Heather. So first off, it's just brain dead easy to install. It is literally 2 clicks in Windows. On the Mac side, the instructions make it extremely smooth to get it up and running. I'm not a super technical person, and I can do it. So, but in Windows, your mom can do it probably. So, here's just to show you. There's no command line fancy. This is just click the button, agree, next, you're done. And then here's how you fire up your EduCommons site right on your laptop. It's just again, it's a button, and then this opens a browser. Done. So number 2 is we've got support for import and export of WordPress pages. This is an interesting feature that it's ongoing, in progress, but it works. So if you want to push a page out from your EduCommons site, you can do that. You just need your login to your WordPress, and it'll push the page out. You want to bring it in, same thing. You need your account, and you can actually bring your WordPress pages into your EduCommons, and it will keep the same hierarchy of folders and pages and things like that. So just a quick screenshot of that. This is importing from WordPress. And this is pushing it out to a WordPress blog. So 3, we're excited about the publish to static HTML feature, because it literally allows you to make your site super fast and able to handle a large number of users. So MIT, if you're listening out there somewhere, okay, this actually scales now. So okay, anyway, hopefully Ustream is doing its thing. But basically, this is fantastic because there's nothing faster than flat HTML. The neat thing too is it converts it all to relative links. So you want to put this on your flash drive, go for it. You can have an entire OpenCourseWare site on your flash drive. It's that easy. So there's the button. Had to put a screenshot of the button. You know, it's really complicated. You click that right there. So number 4 is global search and replace, and this is just for content creators. You wanna change the name of something all across the site. You can do it now. It's a neat thing too, because it represents a collaboration with Novell. They actually developed that feature, and we inherited it. So thanks, Novell, if you're tuned in. And there's a screenshot for that. So just like you would expect, find, replace, you can actually do it with HTML as well. So it's kind of neat that way. And you decide at what level of the site you do it. So if you want to be in a folder and have it do everything below that, that works too. So RSS was added for humans, because up to this point, we're really good at serving up tons of RSS for all of the automated uses of RSS, and so the aggregators and the non-people, the non-humans loved our site because they could get everything. Well, now we've got RSS for humans, and essentially just shows you the most recent 5 things that have been added. So there you go. Common cartridge, import, export, we do that, and then just a note that we also still play nice with Blackboard and all the other guys. So we do have a functionality to do an MIT course download import. So you see a cool course in MIT, you think, oh, I could teach something like that. I could just adapt it somehow. Well, you click download this course in MIT, and then you push it into EduCommons and start modifying, and it actually brings in the license and everything else. So I actually thought if I had the extra time, it'd be fantastic to just put the write a script to actually suck in all of MIT's courses. I thought that would be really neat, but I don't have that kind of time. So so anyway, there it is, and this is bringing in showing the variety of package types that you can bring in into EduCommons. Well, and the nice thing is you can also push it out. So we don't block the exits when you come to EduCommons. That's a strategy that some people like to use. We actually have more exits than most. So if you want to push something out to Common Cartridge, go for it. Moodle IMS content package is an experimental thing that we're working on, but it's pretty cool. And then the standard IMS CP content package. So integration of OAI and OpenSearch. Again, this represents other collaborations with partners in Spain mostly, and we appreciate their efforts on that. You can now go to an EduCommons 321 site and just at the end of the URL type /OAI, and there you go. It's all there. Preliminary import-export support for Moodle. Kind of covered that already. But you do have the ability to import and export. We use Moodle backups for the import because, you know, we're still trying to encourage people to play nice, and so sometimes we have to just fudge it a little bit. But anyway, we've got improved test coverage and a pretty nice a nice user interface to show every piece of code and what amount of tests are written for it. This is also part of an effort that we made working with IF people to do some consulting and really gear up, kind of ramp up our community involvement. And part of that is being able to show people what what level of confidence they can have in our software, and the built-in tests are important for that. And then finally, just our portal, educommons.com, and this includes everything from development, all kinds of development tracking. There is a track site with Subversion repository for the source code and all of that. Just lots of support forums for regular users as well, and wikis and IRC chat. Just we try and have the variety of formats that people might want to interact with us. So that's that. We do have, like I said, a Facebook EduCommons dev group as well. So it has worked real well for us so far, and it's great to see the community blooming. So we're excited when we have needs and to see people stepping up. And so just we really appreciate those of you who are listening, and who have contributed. We really appreciate it. So I'll leave it there. Brent, do you want to add anything?
I just want to add a couple things.
Go for it.
A couple things I want to say will address the sustainability part of this. As Tom mentioned, there are several key parts of the EduCommons that are now being, contributed to by people all around the world, and we're really excited about that. And one of the things that we want to make clear is that this code base doesn't belong to us; it belongs to the whole community. It's fully open source licensed under the GPL. The copyrights are owned by the MIT and Utah State University, but it is GPL. Anybody can use it. It's out there for everybody, and this is not so much like the typical commercial organization that you would see. This is something that all of us own and all of us participate in, and we hope. I hope, from the point of view of the little business that we've started, to be able to provide support around this, to help you guys because we're really passionate about this. We started this project, 5 or 6 years ago. As a developer, I'm absolutely excited to be working on a project that has so much good to it and that can do such great things. And I hope to be able to add the expertise I have into the mix, so that that when OpenCourseWare, when OER is put up, that we can make them the best that they can be. And that's the whole goal here. This is not something that we're so much pushing ourselves, as this is something that has been developed by funding for this community, and it really belongs to the community itself.
All right. Well, we should turn the time over. I just wanted to make a quick point here. This is how easy it can be. So I don't know if some of you might not have seen these commercials, but the ones that, this is your brain on drugs. Well, this is an MIT course. This is an MIT course in EduCommons. Any questions? Okay. And maybe we'll take one quick question and then switch it while we're switching things over. Do you want to take it? Sure.
Can you talk some about how you're achieving sustainability financially?
Sure. Yeah. So basically, what we've done is we've split up. The core development team for EduCommons started at Utah State University, and the project was funded by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation. And from the very beginning, we had the idea of making this GPL, making this available to everybody. And so from the sustainability model, we thought, we had all this great open source code that we've developed. We had all this wonderful stuff, and we didn't want to ruin the spirit of that. So what we did is the whole development team, me and 2 other programmers, split off from the university itself and formed our own company. And we provide things like hosting and customization and services, and we can remote log into your servers and put installs up for you. We can give you support. We can help you get to where you need to go with your OpenCourseWare. We kind of act as stewards for changes and stuff that are coming into EduCommons, but there's like Tom said, all the source code is out there and available right on the web, so you can get involved at any level in this project. So the idea here is that we don't stand in the way if you want to just go to town with something, but we're there to help and to provide support for projects that if you're starting a project and you lack the technical support to run a server, for instance, we have a very cost-effective ways of being able to give you the support you need and still make your project and your budget work. So that's the main sustainability model.
Can I just say one thing about that? So there are a lot of people who have issues with using open source software because there's no one to call. There's no support per se. Maybe there's community support, but people who want to go buy a software package don't necessarily count that. So it's an interesting model. What we have here is a small business that is providing that layer, the services layer around the open source software, and it's extremely economical, it turns out, to do it that way, and it sustains the project, and so there is someone to call, and there is support, and you can have all of that and open source. So I think we should probably stop there, and then if there's time for questions afterwards, we'll do that. Now, no one's introduced Heather, but she's fantastic and awesome. And she has a clicker now.
Thank you. Okay, just quick introduction. My name is Heather Leary, and I am the Institutional Repository Coordinator at Utah State University, as well as a doctoral student in the Instructional Technology and Learning Sciences Department. And Brett Shelton is the director of Caswell and couldn't be here today. But we're talking about the integration of Utah State University's OpenCourseWare into our institutional repository. So just really quickly about the OpenCourseWare at USU, which Tom and Brent could talk so much better about than I can. But the biggest thing with OpenCourseWare at USU is it's the third largest in the United States. And there's a screenshot of OpenCourseWare at USU. USU's OpenCourseWare has a lot of growth to it and a lot of people visiting it, and has had a lot of press, and part of that has been higher ed press and real world press. Not that higher ed press isn't real world, but Wall Street Journal, USA Today, more people's press than higher ed press. And this is where EduCommons began, was at Utah State. So here's a timeline of OCW at USU, and just a couple of things to point out here is that right now there are 80 courses in 20 departments, and the long-term goal of OCW at USU is to have support for all of the courses there. But unfortunately right now they're in an ebb with funding to be able to do that, and so development at this point is not happening as of July 1. I do know that today Brett Shelton is talking to RCDE, which is Regional Campuses Distance Education, to see how they can work together to keep the development of OCW going at USU. Okay, so institutional repositories. How many of you know what an institutional repository is? A few of you. Okay, so in general terms, an IR is a repository of scholarly and intellectual output of a university or college, some kind of institution. And it provides worldwide exposure for all of this content that is coming out of that institution. USU, the dean of the library does not like that term, IR. He thinks it sounds really static and boring and glaze over and I'm not listening anymore. So the IR that we have there, which you're going to hear me call it IR too, just because I do, but it's called the Digital Commons at USU. And Digital Commons at USU is powered by the Berkeley Electronic Press, which is not open source. It is a paid system, but with the economic budgetary constraints that we have right now, it was more cost efficient to be able to do it that way than to use DSpace, because we had tried to use DSpace and it was about a year out that our programmers in the library, our systems administrators, just didn't have time to get to it because there were so many other things that had to be done that were much more important for keeping the library working, that it just kind of fell to the side. And once we got the Berkeley Electronic Press up and going, we were up in about 2.5 weeks. So there are good things and bad things about using a commercial product, but that's what we use right now. So at USU, we think of the Digital Commons as more than just faculty output at the university. We're working really hard to have more teaching and instructional things in the Digital Commons, which is one of the reasons why we went talking to OpenCourseWare. And we try and think of it more as a digital hub for materials, that it's not just a repository for archiving, but we want people coming and using it. We want it to be another spot for people to find this content. So we started this November 2008 last year, and when I looked last night, there were over 3,000 items in the repository, and these are varied. They are articles, books, book chapters, OCW is all in there. There are images, there's government documents, theses and dissertations, lots and lots of stuff. And with not even a whole year being up, we have about 13,000 downloads from over 100 countries with the little map. The green part is where people have come from. So this is a screenshot of the Digital Commons, and when you go in and see the OpenCourseWare, you just go in and see a little bit of metadata about it, and you click download. And you actually get a zipped folder of the course that you can then serve up from your hard drive and work it offline. And then the Digital Commons also has some social networking that they have integrated into it. Okay, so this is what we did with integrating into the Digital Commons. In the fall, we went out and added all the metadata and just put links to the USU OCW page where that course was. Then we got the zipped folders and we added those, and then added the link to the OCW page into the metadata. And ideally, what we really, really want is to have Digital Commons serving up the courses as if you were on the OCW page, so you can view it and go through it online, as well as have the button you can download and use the course offline. So our next steps is working with these guys here at EduCommons to get a better folder of that course to add as the download, which they now have. And then we've been working with bpress to get the serving up of the online portion viewing of the course into their system. And surprisingly, for some people, we actually have a really good relationship with bpress. They really like what we are doing with our Digital Commons. And we've had numerous conversations with their lead programmer to get this going. And so it is in his queue to work on this. And we're hoping in the next year that they will be serving up HTML to view online. So why would you want to archive OCW in a Digital Commons or an IR of some kind? And it might seem a little redundant to some people, but you have to think that to have this content in lots of different places allows that many more people to get to it. So it's just another way to find OCW. Even though the USU OCW is the third highest hitter at USU for their domain, there's still a lot of people who actually don't get to it. So if we can have it in another spot, we'll get another audience coming in and looking at it. The Digital Commons provides different ways of finding the OCW. So if you go in and search in the Digital Commons by a faculty name, by a year, by a title, by a subject, it's going to bring up the OCW, where you can't do that, as far as I know, in the EduCommons part of looking at OCW. And this also provides the university with a new way it's worked really well for us for now, but because I love the open ed community so much, I had pushed them so hard to want to use DSpace or Fedora or something else, but it just didn't happen. It never came to fruition. And so we had a new dean come in. He said, "Oh, we need to get this up and let's move this direction right now, just because we can." And so that's what we did. We're really glad that OCW is in there. It's kind of a bee in our bonnet because nobody else who uses bPress has something like this. So I'm trying to encourage more of the community to talk to your university, to have OpenCourseWare, put it in your IR.